This vid clip details the combat sports career of Conor McGregor, specifically focusing on his origins and temporary transition into professional boxing. Although he is primarily recognized as a world-class mixed martial artist, the source highlights his early development at an amateur boxing club in Ireland. It explores his high-profile 2017 crossover match against the undefeated Floyd Mayweather Jr., which remains a historic financial success despite McGregor's defeat. Ultimately, the passage clarifies that while his striking skills are exceptional, he is categorized as an MMA fighter rather than a career boxer. His professional legacy remains firmly rooted in his ongoing tenure with the UFC.
Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking the facts behind Conor McGregor's highly publicized journey, literally tracking his path all the way from his amateur roots right up to the biggest professional boxing stage in the world. Now, we've all seen the headlines, right? The flash, the trash talk, and the undeniable drama that just constantly surrounds his name in combat sports. But today we're going to tune out the noise and look strictly at the facts and the timeline to understand his true evolution as a striker.
But before we really get into the weeds here, we kind of have to start by asking ourselves one fundamental question. Is Conor McGregor actually a professional boxer? You know, the media loves to blur the lines between mixed martial arts and boxing when they talk about him, making it seem like he's actively juggling a dual career. So we're going to clarify his actual professional status and see what the record truly says about his career inside the squared circle.
Part 1. Origins. Crumlin Boxing Club, where it all began. You see, his striking prowess, it wasn't just some overnight gimmick. As a teenager back in Ireland, he actually built his base at the Crumlin Boxing Club. He trained consistently and even won amateur titles. It was only after establishing this really solid, legitimate boxing foundation that he shifted his focus full-time to mixed martial arts and the UFC.
And that early background is exactly why his massive crossover later on was even possible in the first place. He literally had the foundational mechanics of a boxer built right into his DNA from a very young age. This wasn't just an MMA fighter trying to learn how to throw a proper punch for the very first time under the bright lights, you know? It was an athlete returning to his earliest combat roots.
Part 2. The Mayweather Spectacle, the ultimate crossover. So jump forward to August 2017, and McGregor makes his highly anticipated professional boxing debut. And man, he did not start small. His opponent, none other than the undefeated boxing legend Floyd Mayweather Jr. It was this massive, almost surreal collision of two completely different combat sports worlds. And while McGregor definitely put up a fight, he stood in there against one of the greatest defensive boxers of all time, the result is permanently on the record. He ultimately lost the match via a 10th round TKO.
But hey, the crucial point here isn't the TKO, because despite losing the match, McGregor won absolutely huge financially. To put it in perspective, that 2017 event cemented itself as the second highest-grossing boxing pay-per-view in history. Just think about that for a second. The sheer volume of people who tuned in to watch an MMA fighter take on a boxing legend was simply staggering.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer magnetic power of his personality and his crossover appeal. It was a sporting loss, sure, but a truly historic business victory. He basically created an absolute financial phenomenon out of what was, on paper, just a single debut fight. Very few athletes in the history of any sport have possessed the ability to draw those kinds of astronomical numbers on their very first professional attempt.
Part 3. MMA striker versus pro boxer. The final verdict.
Look, there's just no denying his elite striking ability within mixed martial arts. That is unequivocally his domain, hands down. But actually, when you step back and analyze his overall technique and his professional record, they absolutely do not place him among dedicated, full-time professional boxers. He had a brief, spectacularly lucrative transition, but his true home as a combat athlete remains the UFC.
So, taking all of that into account, the Crumlin timeline, the fact that he's an MMA fighter at heart, and of course, that absolutely monumental payout, it leaves us with one pretty fascinating question to ponder. Did Conor McGregor orchestrate the single most successful sporting crossover in history? It is a wild look at how a solid athletic foundation and pure, unadulterated star power can collide. Thanks so much for joining me on This Explainer today, and I really hope this gives you a whole new perspective the next time you hear his name.